Thanks so much for watching AM Northwest this morning. What happens when you unexpectedly lose your job, but you weren't quite ready for retirement? Here with expert advice, we welcome back financial planning and consulting specialist David Swanson. Good to see you. This topic idea, you said, came from one of your clients even. And I was just telling you, I have a friend who thinks she may be planning to retire earlier than she thought. So you say the first thing you got to do is?
You got to have a plan in place. You need to marshal all of the stuff that you have and figure out very quickly, is that going to get you to where you need to go? Do you need to scramble to get another job? Do you need to figure out, can I retire now? And we've done a lot of shows about pre-planning and focusing and having a written plan. And the best prevention for all of this is to be prepared in advance, right?
But a lot of people are blindsided by that.
They don't know. They think I've got 3 or 4 years to go, and if you had worked for Safeway, Mentor Graphics, if you worked for IBM, if you worked for The Standard, all of those companies have had major restructurings just out of the blue like that. You come to work on Monday, and all of a sudden your job has been sent to India.
Right.
And you don't know what do you do. So you have to really sit down with somebody, and people from our workshops and people from the show will call us and say, okay, I'm at a loss. I thought I had more time, but I didn't. So you come in, we'll organize what you have together and get you on track to see what you need to do to be able to retire. Because maybe right in front of you, you have enough to be more comfortable than you really thought, or you really need to get going, because if you don't, you're going to be very disappointed in your mid-70s.
You say it's important to evaluate how to maximize your retirement income, to kind of figure out what you have there that you can use.
Right. So for our whole lives, we build our assets to grow until the moment when we retire. Then we want them to give to us, and that give is income. So there's a big change in the way that you have to focus on the way your investments are made when you move into retirement, because you have to replace wages with retirement income.
Right.
So you've got to reduce your risk. You've got to make sure you factor in all of your possible choices that you have.
Reducing your risk, you mean don't risk so much on the stock market like you used to when you were younger,
or real estate, or other types of speculative type things, because once your principal is gone, you can't generate income from it. So the opportunities for growing your assets were when you were younger, when you actually had time to make a mistake and then build it back up again. But when you're close to retirement, or if something changes automatically in your job and you're like, I'm not going to have a job in 6 months, but I thought I was going to be working for 3 more years. You know, and all of us, our last years of employment are the most productive. Typically, we generate more income. We're smarter because we're older, and we do better for our employers. So we expect to get compensated more, and that to really be the big boost to get us for the rest of our life.
And one of your big tips is always to write this down. Write down your income plan.
You've got to have it written. If you don't have it in writing, you can't factor in all of the things that are out there that you're not aware of. So written plan, and that's what we prepare for people, is a 30-year plan for what you have right now, to make sure that you have enough to get to where you want to go and be comfortable. And no one wants to be stressed out in retirement. They want to be comfortable.
Oh, no. I mean, that's the idea is you're supposed to relax in retirement, but not if you have to worry about how much money you have coming in or if you have enough to pay the bills.
That's exactly right.
All right, well, you know what we do, what we're going to do, we have viewers' questions for you.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break and then come back with those retirement questions. Don't go away. Welcome back to AM Northwest. David Swanson from Swanson Financial is back to answer your questions. And today we're doing a heavy sigh. Today we're talking about what happens when you're close to retirement and unexpectedly lose your job. And there are a lot of people in this position. So we have a viewer question. She says, he or she says, we were planning to retire a few years, both at the age of 65. Our company is relocating our jobs to South Carolina. We are not moving. Can you help us sort out our options?
Yeah, well, there's a good case. You bring in everything that you have, sit down with us, and we'll look at what you have and see where you can go. Sometimes retiring early is the option, but maybe some kind of part-time work may get you to where you want to go. But you can't answer those questions unless you do the math, the written plan, and reduce your exposure to risk going forward. It just won't work if you don't have those 3 elements.
I mean, I'm sure there are big concerns about if I retire now, will I get the same medical benefits and that kind of thing as I retire?
Well, a lot of people are waiting for 65 to get their medical federal program, which is great. But if you have to retire at 61 or 2, that's a whole nother set of expenses. Some plans, you know, even on Cobra, you could be $1,500–1,600 a month of money out of your pocket that you didn't even think you were going to have to spend. That can really change.
I don't know how people afford that. Next question is, I've been offered a promotion and relocation option for 6 months severance, or 6 months severance. How do I know what to do?
Okay, so they will buy out your existing contract if you will move and give you some money, or you know, and the change is you give up your whole life to go to someplace else. So you have to sit down and find out what that severance is going to mean to you. Now, doesn't mean you can't negotiate either. I mean, because there may be options for you to come back and counter their proposal or get a more structured proposal or maybe do some work remotely. So it's not all lost. It's just gather the information that you have and figure out a plan that will make sense for your life going forward. But you can't just wait till Monday and go, I'm not working there anymore. It's just not, you just can't plan that way.
I would be concerned about moving for a job and then you lose the job after a year or two.
And then the whole thing folds there, and then you're stuck in wherever, you know.
Right. Next question is, I'm 65 and I've been offered early retirement, but my spouse is 61 and concerned about the cost of medical, cost of medical insurance until Medicare starts. Can you help us?
This is a big thing. So what we do is, there's a lot of plans out there, but very few options. So there's a few hospitals. You would go to the hospital, you'd figure out what plan you want to be on, Kaiser, Providence, Meridian, whatever it is, figure out where you want to go, and then figure out how you're going to cover the cost for that for your spouse. So you have to build a budget. We talk about budgets all the time, and that's why a written plan is so important, because your resources are going to be diminished, so we have to take money from someplace else to figure out how to get to where you want to go. But if you don't plan this out, you could end up being broke very soon.
Very soon. I was planning to work 5 more years, but I had a heart attack, and that has cut my work days by half. Will we still be able to retire in 5 years?
So now you got to figure out, can you even work even part-time? You know, we don't know. Or maybe will you be able to return, or maybe will it be zero? So now what you have to do is, what I figure is that you plan really for the worst case scenario. You take a look at everything you have and you go, well, if I couldn't work, what would we do with what we have right now? And if things improve, you can always get a job and maybe work later. But if you think you can work part-time right now and go forward, but there's no job on this planet that's worth you dying for. Absolutely none.
No, that's a good point. And lastly, my husband just passed unexpectedly in December. I'm overwhelmed with all the paperwork. Can you look at my situation and help me?
See, this is what happens, and not that it's the husband or the wife, but typically there's one decision maker and then someone that does everything else. Okay, so one person that provides the, does the paperwork, and then in my family, it's very much like that. I'm pretty good at making the decisions, but I can't do anything other than just what my skill set is. My wife does everything else. All right, so if something,
I knew you had a powerful wife behind you. I just knew it.
Who doesn't? If you're going to be successful, how can't you? You've got to have someone to do all these things. So she is the one that really takes care of operations of all the most important parts of our life. So you need to go into your job and all this paperwork that you normally your spouse would help you with. You bring that in, we'll help you. The paperwork is immense, dealing with insurance companies and pensions, and you got to make sure you get all your benefits. So give us a call and we can definitely help you.
And we'll give you the information, 503-603-9900. We'll put that on K2.com.